Good evening and welcome back. My name is Silas and I'm your storyteller here at Slumberlight Tales. If the day has been long, then you've come to the right place. This is a small, quiet corner of the night where the world slows its breathing, where thoughts soften, and where the only thing asked of you is to listen and drift. Tonight's journey is simple. You'll step into the forest at dusk, where the air smells of moss and cool earth, and follow a path that most travelers never notice. Our story begins just as the last light is leaving the hills. You have been walking since late afternoon, taking a narrow trail that winds through old woodland at the edge of the high country. Nothing dramatic, nothing strenuous, just the kind of walk that helps the day loosen its grip, one quiet footstep at a time. The path beneath your boots is soft, with pine needles and damp leaves. Moss climbs the roots of oak in thick green folds. Somewhere beyond the trees, a stream is moving over stone, slow and steady, too far away to see, but near enough to lend the air a cool, mineral scent. Above you, the sky has begun to change. What was pale blue only an hour ago is now deepening toward indigo. The trunks of the trees stand darker against it, tall and patient, their highest branches holding onto the final light longer than the forest floor can. Your breath leaves you in slow, pale traces, not because the night is bitter, but because the air has turned cool enough to feel clean. You keep walking. The trail is familiar at first, a fallen log on the right, silvered with age, a cluster of ferns in the hollow near the bend, a flat stone where rainwater gathers after a storm. And then, between one step and the next, something changes. You notice a glow ahead. Not bright, not sudden, just a warm point of amber light resting low among the trees. You slow without meaning to. There should be no lantern here. This part of the forest has no cottages, no campsites hidden between the roots, only the trail, the trees, and the long evening settling itself into silence. Yet the glow remains. You take a few steps closer. The light is not hanging from a hook or balanced on a stone. It is growing. A small tree stands at the edge of the path, no taller than your shoulder, with smooth pale bark and narrow silver-green leaves. From its branches hang rounded fruits no larger than plums, each one glowing from within with a soft amber radiance. Lantern fruit. Their light is gentle rather than bright, the kind that does not push darkness away as much as soften it. You look beyond the first tree and see another, then another, a whole line of them stretching quietly through the woods, like patient guideposts. The trail itself has changed as well. The packed earth and scattered roots have given way to flat stones fitted carefully into the ground. Not a road exactly, more like a path that has been shaped by many deliberate hands over a very long time. Moss fills the seams between the stone, and when you step onto them, you feel the slight retained warmth of the day still resting there. The air carries a new scent now. Cedar, cool water, wood smoke from somewhere far ahead, and something faintly sweet, like crushed thyme warmed between fingers. You continue on. The lantern trees guide you through a stand of tall pines where the dusk has gathered thickest. Their trunks rise like dark pillars, and between them, the amber fruit hover in careful intervals, each small glow reflected in droplets of moisture clinging to the needles overhead. The forest grows quieter. Ahead, a low arch of stone appears between the trees. It is built from broad, pale blocks mottled with lichen and old rain stains, each one carved with lines so shallow and fine that they might have been drawn by roots rather than tools. Forest continues beyond it, dim and green and full of evening shadow. And yet you know, as certainly as you know the cool of the air on your face, that this is a threshold. You step beneath it. The world does not flash or spin or announce itself. It simply deepens. The scent of the woods becomes richer. The shadows become more layered. The path beneath your feet smooths into stone, polished by centuries of quiet passing. And then the trees begin to open. At first, you see only fragments, a line of warm light through branches, a curve of a balcony wrapping around a trunk, a roof half covered in moss and fern. Another step, and then another turn. And there it is, the hidden city. It does not stand apart from the forest. Instead, it lives through it. Stone streets curve around routes broader than cart paths. Homes rise from the hillsides as though they were drawn upward from the earth itself. Their walls built of pale stone and dark timber. Their roofs green with moss and planted herbs. Great trees grow directly through courtyards and stairwells, through terraces and open halls, their bark interrupted, their branches supporting suspended walkways high overhead. Bridges link trunk to trunk in elegant arcs of wood and woven cord. Lantern trees line the lower streets. Higher up, amber fruit glow among the canopy so that the city seems threaded with stars both above and below. At the edge of the first street, a figure is waiting, tall, still, wrapped in a long dark green coat that falls in clean lines to the ankles. Their hair is pale, almost silver in the lantern light, braided loosely at the back. Their face is fine-boned and calm, simply composed with the quiet self-possession of someone who does not need to hurry toward any moment, because every moment will arrive in its own time. When they speak, their voice is low and even. You found the outer way. It is not asked as a question, only acknowledged. They incline their heads slightly. The city is open to you tonight, they say, if you would like to walk. The elf turns and begins along the stone street. You follow, and you notice your footsteps sound different here, softer, held. The street is bordered by low walls furred with moss, and narrow channels of clear water run beside them, reflecting lantern light in shifting ribbons. Overhead, broad wooden walkways connect the upper levels of homes built among enormous trees. No one hurries. An elf crosses the bridge above, carrying a shallow basket of herbs. Another closes a lattice window with a quiet click. Two more stand at a doorway, speaking in low voices, their conversation punctuated by long pauses in which neither seems eager to fill the silence. The city does not sleep exactly. It settles. Your guide leads you around a bend where the street widens into a small square. At its center stands a fountain unlike any you have ever seen before. A circular basin of dark stone rests low to the ground, ringed with ivy and tiny white flowers. From the basin, water rises, not in jets or dramatic arcs, but in thin, smooth ribbons. Each stream lifts itself quietly upward through the carved channels, suspended in the air by nothing you can see. It climbs through a framework of pale stone hoops and disappears into reservoirs built along the rooftops. An older elf fills a clear glass bottle from one of the ascending streams with the same calm practicality another person might use at a kitchen tap. Gravity is not quite the same everywhere here, your guide says. The city learned long ago that some things move better when invited upward. You stand for a moment, listening to the fountain. It does not splash. It whispers. From there, the street climbs gradually beneath a row of taller lantern trees. An elf with a narrow ladder moves among them, adjusting small reflective cups near the branches so the light falls more evenly across the stones below. Lantern keeping, your guide says. The brightness changes with the season. Beyond the lantern trees lies a tea hall. Its doors stand open to the street, enough for warmth and fragrance to drift out into the cooling air. The room inside is long and low, lit by shallow lamps set into the walls. Thin stone cups rest on polished wooden tables. Steam rises in slow, fragrant ribbons from pale infusions, the color of morning light. Pine needle, moonflower, mountain mint. Several elves sit within, not speaking, simply resting with both hands around their cups, while the last of the day leaves the windows. Your guide pauses at the threshold. Tea is taken slowly here, they say. An attendant appears and offers you a small cup, carved from grey stone, so fine it lets the warmth glow through. The tea inside is clear and pale. Its scent is cool and forested, with a sweetness that arrives only after the first breath. You lift it carefully. The taste is soft and layered, pine first, then a note like white blossom opening at night, then something grounding and mineral at the end. The warmth settles through your chest in a quiet way, not dramatic, just easing. When you return the cup, the attendant inclines their head, and that is thanks enough for both of you. You continue upward. The street narrows between two dwellings, built directly into a hillside. Ferns spill from the edges of the roofs. A narrow stair leads past them to a shaded court where the air feels cooler and older. Here, the city keeps its memories. The Moss Archive occupies a series of low terraces beneath the roots of 3 colossal yew trees. Flat stones stand upright in careful rows, some no longer than paving slabs, others tall as doors. Every surface is covered in moss of different shades and textures, deep velvet greens, pale silvers, dark blue greens, almost black in the low light. Elves move among them with extraordinary gentleness. One sits on a low stool, fingertips resting lightly against a stone, as if listening through touch. Another uses a brush made of fine reed fibers to stroke water across a patch of moss, encouraging new tendrils into a more precise pattern. Your guide brings you to one of the older archives. At first, the moss seems random. Then their hand hovers near the surface, not touching, and the texture alters. Shapes emerge. A ridgeline under snow, a frozen river, 3 figures carrying lanterns across a white valley, while wind bends their cloaks. The winter of the blue silence, your guide says, 412 years ago. The image is not sharp the way paint would be sharp. It is living, the memory held as pattern rather than picture, more felt than displayed. Moss remembers by growing, your guide says. It does not trap the past, it lets the past continue. The scent here is deep and cool, wet stone, earth beneath roots, green things after rain. When you leave, you do so reluctantly. The path ahead rises into the trees. A staircase of pale wood winds around a trunk broader than a cottage. Its rail is smooth from use. Higher and higher, you climb through the branches, heavy with lantern fruit, until the roofs below begin to disappear beneath a lacework of leaves and bridgeways. At the top, the stair joins a long, suspended walkway. It sways very slightly under your footsteps, only enough to remind you that it is still alive to the moment of wind and wood. From here, the city stretches in layered levels beneath you. Streets curve and vanish under bows. Upward flowing channels glint silver between roofs. Tea halls glow. Windows shine softly behind patterned screens. Farther along the walkway, the sound of quiet commerce reaches you. A market has formed on a broad platform between 4 giant trees. It is the evening market, your guide explains, the one that opens after the heat has left the day. The stalls are arranged with spacious care. Nothing is piled high, nothing is shouted over. At one stall, small stoppered bottles contain silver mist, suspended in layers. At another, shallow trays hold folded papers thin as onion skin. Each one, your guide says, contains a seasoning of weather, meant for gardens too sheltered to receive enough on their own. One paper for cool rain, another for 2 mornings of fog, another for a single bright dry wind at harvest time. An old elf in dark blue robes weighs moonflower petals on scales of carved bone. Beside them, another vendor arranges smooth stones that hold the stored warmth of sunny hillsides. The buyers do not bargain, they confer. A woman asks for 3 evenings of mild rain for her roof garden. A caretaker selects a pouch of valley cool to keep late mushrooms from drying. Someone purchases a jar of dawn mist as one might purchase a rare spice. The whole market feels less like a trade and more like stewardship. You cross on. The bridges grow narrower, carrying you into the upper canopy, where the trunks are silvered by moonlight, and the lantern fruit glow against the dark like a constellation threaded through long living leaves. At last, the walk opens into a circular platform built around the tallest tree in the city. This is the observatory. Polished metal bowls filled with still water stand around the edge, each set into low stone rings carved with constellations. Elves kneel beside them in loose dark robes, their sleeves tied back, their faces reflected beside the stars. One touches a bowl with a silver pin. Ripples move across the surface. The reflected sky bends and deepens. Another observer adjusts a hanging ring of brushed silver suspended over a bowl. As the ring turns, lines etched into its surface align with the reflection below, revealing the slow drift of a constellation that will not reach its winter position for several more nights. Your guide leads you to the outer rail. From here, the forest looks endless, a dark sea of leaves and ridges fading into the distance. And among those ridges, faint and far apart, you notice other glows, tiny constellations in the hills, other hidden settlements. There are many cities, your guide says. Most people pass close to one at least once in their lives. They are seen best by those who are not insisting on seeing. A cool breeze moves across the platform, carrying the scent of leaves and high branches and the faint metallic purity of starlight reflected in water. Eventually, your guide turns from the rail. There is one more place before the outer path closes. You descend by another route into a quarter of the city built at the border between cultivated place and untamed wood. Here, the streets are narrower, lantern trees become fewer, wild moss thickens, the scent of leaf mold and fern returns stronger. You pass small dwellings, half hidden beneath roots and low hillsides. Their windows glow dimly through woven screens. Somewhere nearby, quiet music is being played on strings so soft and low, it seems almost part of the air. The path bends through an archway, made not of stone, but of living branches, trained together over centuries, until they have grown into a single vaulted tunnel. Beyond it lies a garden, the Time Garden, your guide says. It is enclosed by yew hedges and planted with flowers that bloom according to no ordinary hour. Silver blossoms open gradually as you watch, petal by petal, while dark blue buds nearby remain closed, though they should have opened at dusk. Tiny chimes hang among the beds, each one made of a different metal and tuned to a slightly different note. At the center of the garden stands a caretaker in pale gray robes. They are adjusting the chimes, not randomly, but by fractions. As the wind touches them, the tones drift over the garden in soft, rounded notes, and with each note, the flowers respond. One white blossom unfurls another petal. A cluster of moon-blue bells slows its opening until the sound passes. Dew gathers on a stem before there is any reason for dew to be there. Time is not broken here, your guide says quietly, only persuaded. You walk the perimeter slowly. The garden smells of night blossom, wet soil, cool stone, and a sweetness like pear skins left on a wooden board. Nothing in the garden feels unnatural, only carefully negotiated. When you leave, the chimes continue behind you, threading their silver notes through the dark. The city grows quieter as night deepens. Fewer figures move along the streets now. Windows dim one by one. Upward streams still climb from basin to roof. Lantern fruit continue their gentle glow. Your guide brings you at last to a high balcony at the outer edge of the city. It is built around the trunk of an ancient cedar, its rail carved with lines like flowing water and leaves in wind. Beyond it, the forest canopy stretches away in dark rolling layers. Here and there, the tops of lantern trees rise just above the ordinary branches. A low table waits there, 2 thin cups, a small iron kettle keeping warm over a contained amber coal. Your guide pours. This time, the tea is deeper in color than the one from the hall below. Bronze gold, its scent rises with pine, wild honey, and something floral but cool, as though sweetness belongs to moonlight rather than sunlight. You wrap both hands around the cup. Warmth travels into your fingers. The steam touches your face. The first sip tastes of cedar and clear water, then of some night-blooming flower you cannot name. Below, somewhere unseen, a soft current of wind passes through the bridges and leaves, producing a long hush like distant surf. Your guide rests their own cup on the rail and looks out toward the hills. In winter, they say after a while, the lanterns burn a darker gold. In spring, they are paler. In late autumn, when the fog is thick enough, the city seems to float. It must be difficult to move, you say. It is not difficult to leave, they respond. It is difficult to leave quickly. For the first time, there is the faintest suggestion of a smile in their voice. You sit there together in a companionable silence. Far off, another hidden city glows among the hills. Then another, fainter still. Soon, the city is no longer distinctly separate from the forest. A wall becomes a rise in the land. A stair becomes a line of worn roots. A lantern tree leans wild among ordinary birch and pine. The moss-covered arch waits where you first passed beneath it. Amber fruit glow nearby in the gathering dark. Your guide stops just before the threshold. They incline their head once more. You may remember the way, they say, even if you cannot always find it. Then they step back. You pass beneath the arch. The air changes. The forest becomes the ordinary forest once more. Cooler, simpler, familiar in its own way. The stone path gives way to earth and root. The lantern trees stand only for a little while longer before becoming shapes that might be saplings in the dark. Then nothing more than shifting glimmers between trunks. At last, there is only the trail you know. The stream somewhere to your right the scent of moss and damp bark, the first true weight of night settling through the branches. And yet, when you glance back through the trees, you think you can still see one last amber light resting high among the leaves. Then another, farther away, like a star caught low in the woods. The hidden city remains where it has always remained, not gone, not lost, only living slightly out of phase with the hurried world. And now, having walked its streets and crossed its bridges and tasted its slow, fragrant tea, you carry some quiet part of it with you as you make your gentle way home through the dark.